asset for each other.
How old were you when you met Anne?
This was junior year.
Yeah, we
So,
can't remember for sure if it was her junior year or senior
I
year.
might have been 16.
Yeah, she originally had another mentor assigned to her, but then but that person got busy or something.
Yeah,
I don't
she
know.
was
Since
an FBI agent, so she had
She had some things.
she had some things that she needed to take care of that we couldn't talk about, which was cool. That was dope. But you know, when someone's in that adolescence part of their life, you're in high school, you who knows what young people are taking care of. There are people I know taking care of households, who is their check that makes things move, make things happen.
Jermaine, how did you get to the program? How did you get to having a mentor?
Through the schools, I believe student partner, they notify the schools that are participating who are in the alliance, right? So then they notify, and then I'm not sure. I think Margaret can speak, Maggie can speak to it, like how it's elected, but I needed it. So before Anne was my mentor, she was my sponsor. Like I was helping my grandmother pay my tuition at a certain point, so that helped alleviate some of the burden that was happening. But that's different thing with the sponsor and the mentor. But that's how I got introduced to it. They've said, okay, well, you have a gap here. Let's see if you can get into this program to fill that.
Mm-hmm.
Student Partner Alliance is a scholarship and mentoring program combined. And we are, as far as we know, the only organization in New Jersey which combines the two. So students will apply to us at the suggestion of the school that they're in or the school they want to go to. And then we consider the applications. Ours is not merit-based scholarship, it's a needs-based scholarship. And along with the scholarship comes a mentor. So that's how she would have gotten into the program. And our criteria is financial need and a motivated student. We do look at the grades. Again, they don't have to be the best grades, but they have to show that the student is motivated to take advantage of the opportunity and the school and the mentor. And so that's how we find the students, or they find us, and then we try and help as many as we can.
No, Audrey, I'm going to suggest that we go ahead and get started, and because I'm talking about it anyway. So
right, I mean, I want to hear about it. So
okay,
yeah. All right, so I won't do the whole greeting because we're all friends here. But
I'm sorry. And are we being recorded by any chance?
Do you?
We are. Okay, I see it. Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Is that okay?
It's fine with me,
Yes.
Maggie and Jermaine.
Yes.
Okay. So just quickly, we started this program 1 year ago, probably to the day. And it was just a way of our keeping the community connected and together. And like I was saying to Anne, we met people in this program that we probably never would have known, and known something interesting and inspirational about them. So that's where we come to you. And I want to thank Rabbi and Ian, who urged me to reach out to you for this program. I'm really glad that you were able to do it. Maggie, thank you. Shemaine, thank you. And then I was going to say, okay, Anne, take it away.
Okay, so just for those of you who aren't familiar, the way we came to you today is I had reached out to the rabbi because I'm on the board at Student Partner Alliance, and we are trying to recruit mentors. And so all the other board members are posting advertisements in their churches that they want to recruit members. And I'm like, well, we should be able to do it at our synagogue too. So I approached the rabbi, who introduced me then to Ian, who then introduced me to Audrey. So that's kind of how this came to be. So just to go over again who everybody is, Maggie Momber is the executive director at Student Partner Alliance. Shemaine McAllister is one of our graduates. She was a mentee. She was actually my mentee for a while, and I was her sponsor as well. And as Maggie said, it's a two-part program. We provide financial support, And we also provide a mentor for each student. And my husband and I have been supporting numerous students financially. But to me, it's really critical that each one of the kids that we sponsor also gets a mentor. So in Shemaine's case, when her mentor didn't work out, then I jumped in and I did it to my good fortune. So Maggie and I first met because, well, Maggie, do you want to jump in and go ahead and tell a little bit about SPA, or did you
Sure.
pretty much
Would you
cover
like
it
me to
already?
speak now, or
Sure,
or
go
do you want to
ahead.
tell more of your story first?
One thing I did forget to say, let's see. Shemaine grew up in Irvington. She was at St. Vincent's Academy in the class of 2014, and she ended up going to Albertus Magnus College in New Haven, which I was very excited about because my sister-in-law lives there. And so Shemaine was able to join us for Passover one year, which was fun. And she's now working for the International Festival of Arts and Ideas. So she's very involved in her community, and she'll tell you some more of the interesting things that she's done. So so Maggie, do you want to just tell a little bit about SPA, and then I'll talk about how I got involved and everything.
Sure. Okay. So just briefly, Student Partner Alliance was founded in 1993. So we're coming up on our 30-year anniversary. We will make it through COVID. And the mission of Student Partner Alliance is to help urban high school students get an education that will enable them to go to college. So it's a pure education driven organization. And the way we do that is through scholarships to high schools in some of the urban areas around us in Essex County, Newark, in Jersey City, in Hudson County. We have students from Union County, and we have some schools in Union County as well. But we're basically northern New Jersey focused. What we do is we help with the scholarships, and we have allocated over 2,200 scholarships since our founding. At the moment, we are supporting 180 students at 10 different schools with the scholarships and with mentors. At the moment, all but 2 of our students have mentors, and we're always looking for new mentors, and in particular, we'll need a lot of new mentors in the fall. So if you're interested, we'd love to hear from you. What we do in our mentoring program is organize various activities, and we've had to reorganize all of our activities over the past year to go from in-person to using Zoom. But we've been creative and come up with good ideas, I think, and have been able to match over the last couple of weeks, almost 30 new mentors with freshman students through Zoom, and get those relationships going. We, of course, hope for the in-person soon, but we'll patiently wait until it's really safe for mentors and students who are not at the forefront of the vaccine line. So we don't know how long we'll have to wait, but we'll just keep doing what we're doing and inventing new ways to do it as long as we need to. And with the support of amazing board members like Anne, who has brought so much to us and so many great ideas, so many sponsors and mentors. And she's also one of our best mentors, as is witnessed by Shemaine's being here today. So I'm happy to take any questions at the end, but I think I don't want to take up too much of time so that Anne and Shemaine have more time to speak.
Okay, thanks, Maggie. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about how I got involved in Student Partner Alliance. For those who were on earlier, I gave a little head information. Maggie and I were next door neighbors, and we met through our dogs, and we would walk our dogs together in the morning. And at that time, my husband and I were starting a family foundation that we called the Sweetie Pig Foundation. It's not a very kosher name. And but there's a long story behind it, and for us it works. Our objective is to spread joy and happiness by supporting local nonprofits that are involved primarily in social services and in education. So at the same time when Bruce and I were working on this together, Maggie was a volunteer. She was just a volunteer at Student Partner Alliance at that time. And she kept on telling me that SPA was perfect for us, and I had to learn more about it. And, it does exactly what my husband and I wanted to see it happen in the world. So I listened to her, but I didn't do anything until she moved back to Germany. And then I finally met with Emmett Daly, who is our board chair. He lives in Summit. So if anybody's here is in Summit, you might happen to know him. Really sweet guy. And the executive director at that time. And my husband and I immediately, absolutely fell in love with Student Partner Alliance. So at that time, we decided we were just going to sponsor students financially. But after a couple of weeks, I just couldn't stand it any longer. And so I asked if I could please have a student to mentor. So my very first student was a young woman named Crystal. She was at Mary Lawn of the Oranges, which no longer exists. She was actually in their very last graduating class, which was a sad situation for the students there. But she was in the class of 2013, and her family is from Grenada. And so she had a very interesting background. I didn't know anybody from Grenada. This was a whole new experience for me. And Crystal's very fashionable, and she's very open and chatty, and she's just a really fun person. So she was a lot of fun to mentor. Now, knowing that SPA needed more mentors, I recruited a friend to do this with me. And so together we would go to West Orange and we would meet up with our students who happened to be best friends at a pizzeria. Typically the mentors no longer meet outside of the school and kind of just such an open environment like that. But that's what we were doing at the time. It's a lot of fun. So it was always our pizzeria. And what would we talk about? We would talk about her classes, the activities that she enjoyed doing. She was getting good grades and she loved to tell me how well she was doing in school. And I just ate it up. I was delighted to hear every bit of good news. And we would talk about her career interests, which pretty much every time I met her seemed to change a little bit. But she had a lot of really good ideas. We put together a list of colleges for her to apply to. Of course, her parents were very involved in that in her school, but I was another person to bounce thoughts off of. And then when it was time to apply, most of our mentors probably do not do this, but I was excited about helping her with her essay. So I helped her write her essay and was a sounding board when it came time for her to make a decision. She ended up going to St. Peter's University in Jersey City. And she at one point kept coming back to the idea of becoming a doctor. She decided she was going to become a doctor, like come hell or high water. And I have never seen anybody work so hard to get into a graduate school program. She studied like crazy for her exams. They didn't go as well as she had hoped the first time, but she kept at it and she got in. And she is going to now become a doctor if all goes well. So it's a little bit tricky with COVID. When I last spoke to her, she was studying from home, which is not ideal, but if anybody's going to make it work, I know she will. Okay, another student that I want to tell you about, her name is Amani. And Amani is very different than Crystal. She was an aspiring actress. And again, I started becoming her mentor when she was, I think, a junior or a senior, I'm not sure exactly. And she was in the class of St. Vincent's Academy of 2019. And I was so thrilled because I'm an empty nester. I started doing this when my kids were still home and they were older and they were getting ready to leave. But now I'm an empty nester. And she invited me to her school play. And she had a leading role in All My Sons by Arthur Miller. And it was just so much fun to watch her perform, meet her parents, watch a school play. It was just, I just really enjoyed it tremendously. I was so proud of her. And then when she was a senior, we went to the Shakespeare Theater, which is right here at Drew University. And her mom joined us, and it was really fun to see a play with them and get their thoughts about it. And we also walked around the campus at Drew so she could see what that kind of a campus looks like. So we were talking a little bit about the pros and the cons of different types of colleges, urban versus more suburban, and so forth. So in the end, she graduated and she ended up attending Montclair State. And I checked in with her a couple of weeks ago to prepare for today. And she is majoring in theater studies and psychology. So she's doing very well. Let's see. And then a third student, I'm skipping some of them. I've mentored about 8 students in total. So I'm not telling you about every single one of them. But Shemaine and I started together, as we mentioned before, we think it was her junior year. Shemaine was a star at her school. So I felt really privileged to be her mentor. She was school president, and she is a true leader, and she's always interested in other people. I've learned so much from her, just seeing how she interacts with other people and her philosophy of life. And so she's just a really cool person. So I am going to let her talk about being a mentee from her perspective. So go ahead, take it away, Shemaine.
Oh, well, I kind of touched it in the beginning, but are there questions folks have directly? I know, Mr. Bruce, I know you joined us after we kind of got talking, but so I'll briefly go back over, and if folks have any questions that they want to ask, please feel free to jump in. We can definitely do that. But so yeah, I met Ann my junior year. She became my mentor, which I think that's what I needed at the time. I needed another set as I began to prepare for college and things like that. Like, no one at home could really assist me. They knew I was doing something, but no one really knew, okay, she's gonna go. But a lot of time I've usually gotten myself places by other folks helping. So meeting Ann was great. As she helped Krista with her essay, she definitely helped me with mine. As I was looking at colleges, we talk, and she told me about her experience at school when she went away, and they gave me something to compare it to of what I wanted to go through, what the type of college experience I wanted to have. And going to Alberta, it was beneficial because it was smaller. I learned that I wasn't into traditional style dorms. They had old mansions. So it was cool. It was coming from a Vincentian background, going to a Dominican experience that fit what I was doing at the time. I'm not Catholic, but I do feel like there's a religious and spiritual aspect in everything. And I wanted to go to a liberal arts school, just because you can go study what you want to study, right? Like, we can study how to be a doctor, we can study how to be a teacher, a lawyer, but we like to be well-rounded people as well, and have that type of, it's not just one thing. Life is life. As long as you have the resources to take care of yourself, no one really cares what you do with your time, as long as you take care of yourself. So meeting her was great. I really enjoyed our talks over the years. We've spoken about religion, her being Jewish and me being, I don't claim one certain religion at the moment. I would say Christian, but that dynamic, most of my family is Muslim. So her and I having these talks of this dynamic, well, how do you feel about this? I feel about this way, I know about this. And then being invited to her house and my grandmother inviting her to ours, we've shared that time. So it's been amazing. I have a few mentors who've lasted past high school, but I think it shows that we have a superficial relationship. We don't talk as often, but we talk. I know if I call her, she'll answer, and if she calls me, I'm gonna answer as well. So we've been an asset to each other since upon meeting each other. And I think throughout our lives, I don't see myself ever not talking to her or ever not staying in communication with her. So I would say having her at the time I needed it, like, I had already kind of figured out what I needed to do, but I needed someone to show me, like, okay, well, you can do this by doing this. And I've done this. Hearing about her travel, it put it in my head, like, there's a lot out there. This woman just said she does, like, she just came back from China. What? Okay, let's talk about that. How was that experience there? So just knowing that there's more out there, not to get caught up in a bubble, because this where student partners support students is like, then this is a whole different environment, a whole different atmosphere. Being in the city and being in the suburb is two different things. So just that larger global aspect was what I needed at the time. I knew I was heading somewhere, but I kind of really lived my life where I asked God, I don't know where we're going, but guide my steps and let's go from there. So that's
And I think like over the different students that I've mentored, many of them come from families where they might be the first person to go to college. So so they don't have somebody who said, okay, you know, you got to get your application done. This is what an essay should look like. They don't have a parent or a relative kind of hammering at them with what they should do and knowing what it should look like. So that's one thing as a mentor that you can be very helpful with. But you know, as Shemaine said, I've learned more from Shemaine than I think she's learned from me. And she gives me like reading lists and you know, and then asks me I ask her a question, then she asks me a difficult question. And you know, it's good. It's really great. So I don't
I'm
think
grateful that my mentor, because anyone, whether it's a mentor, a friend, a relative, you want someone, iron sharpens iron. You don't want anybody with wood, because how are we benefiting each other in this? So it's iron sharpen iron. Anyone, I would say, as you join to be a mentor, Ian, you know, prepared to be sharpened and to sharpen someone, a very Mr. Miyagi Karate Kid type of thing.
it depends on the kid, though, I have to say, because I think some kids you have to be a little more gentle with than others. And but I think honesty is always the very most important thing. Okay, so one thing that that we wanted to talk about is how the experience with every student and every mentor is completely different. So I think, you know, I kind of tried to give you a sense of that by talking about the different kids that I worked with. Some of them are very talkative and they welcome support for their day-to-day issues. Some don't want to talk so much, but I think it just makes them feel good to know that there's another adult in their lives who's cheering for them. And then some welcome really practical advice that they can't necessarily get from their immediate circle, like applying to colleges. So I found that no two of my kids were at all alike, and we always had to figure out our unique relationship and how to best communicate. So like Ian, for example, right now I have two incoming freshmen. One is extremely shy. It's going to be a long time before we're going to FaceTime. We're just talking by text now. The other one is chatty as can be, and we're on FaceTime, and and I know so much about her, but it kind of depends. You have to take it bit by bit, depending. You always have to have respect, I think, for the student and what the student is like, and adapt to them. SPA really helps a lot with some structured activities. There are breakfasts twice a year, and there's volunteering at the food bank and all kinds of activities when we return to an in real life world. So that helps a lot. I, as I said before, like any relationship, it really works best, I think, if you go into it with an open mind and with respect. Our students, every individual is going to have different life experiences. And so our students are no exceptions. So that's one of the things I've really loved the most, is just learning about people with different backgrounds and different life experiences at different ages, different personalities, different issues, different families. So that's really fun. So if you're thinking, is anybody else here considering becoming a mentor other than Ian, who's doing it? Bruce, oh good. I'm so excited, Bruce. That's great.
But I have a question.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead, or do you want to wait for till the end when we're officially doing Q&A?
Oh, whatever you think is appropriate.
We're such a small group. Okay,
no,
let me just
my main question is, it seems very unstructured. Like, is there a requirement where you meet once a week? Is it whatever you feel like doing? Can you talk more about that?
So
Like
there
like
is
what's,
structure.
yeah.
There is structure, but with a huge amount of flexibility. So, for example, SPA has certain organized events. Like I mentioned, the breakfast, there's a holiday party, there's bowling, there's certain structured events. Now that we're in a Zoom world, they've been so creative at coming up with events that you do with the students on Zoom. So there's that structure. However, what you do with your own student and like how you do that has a huge amount of flexibility. So as I had said, I get together with my two students that I have differently, and all my students have always been very different from one another. What I personally try to do is to impose some structure on myself. So I have a reminder every 2 weeks to reach out to my students to see how they're doing. So it kind of depends on what's going on in my life or what time of year it is. I might, reach out and say, hey, how was like today? I sent a message to them. How was your weekend? What did you do this weekend? Here are pictures of me. I didn't send pictures of you, Maggie, just me at Branch Brook, where I went to see the cherry blossoms. And I wanted to send that to them because they live near Newark, and so they can go themselves. So I want to encourage them to get outdoors into nature and do something fun. So one of them, originally I sent an old picture that had my dog in it, and the girl was telling me how she would love to have a dog. So I told her I would try to bring my dog sometime to her. And so it's basic. I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Kind of. It's it sounds somewhat loose, but there is some structure from SPA.
There is, and definitely.
think-
And we also provide training,
Ah.
really, really good training. So you don't just kind of go into this and fake it. Like you are told, what the kids hope to gain. Maggie, you probably, why don't you take this, Maggie? Because you can explain it better than I can. The training.
So, there is an organization, I think, that has a much more structured mentoring program. That's Big Brothers Big Sisters, which requires a lot more time. But our organization has always been this hybrid. It's a really popular word these days. Everything seems to be a hybrid of the scholarship and the mentoring. And we bring in people who don't necessarily have, tons and tons of times. And the students are very, very busy too, between school and after school activities. So our philosophy has always been that we set up certain things, which are now all virtual. And then we leave it up to each relationship. As Ann said, relationships are always different, and some people are more chatty and some are less so. So I have two mentees right now, and one likes Zoom and we chat on Zoom. The other one is much more reserved and just she does not want to have a face-to-face conversation through some electronic device. She just doesn't want to do it. So I respect her desires and, just try and show my support through text as much as I can.
So one thing that we do, we interview the students who come into SPA, and one of the most important questions that we ask them is, we describe the program and say, do you have an interest in having a mentor? And almost all of them say yes. Some of them say it very enthusiastically. Occasionally we do get students or parents who are not comfortable with it. Those students are not a good match for SPA. They can get funding, scholarship support elsewhere, but we're looking for the students who welcome to have a mentor in their lives. And so it's not always a smooth road, but we're addressing that in the interview process.
Mhm.
So people who think it's fun. I mean, both of my new girls, I think that, I feel welcomed by them. So,
No, I'm very interested I just need answers to questions now you want to be able to do it and you want to know what the commitment is. And it sounds like from what you said, you could go on for the rest of your life with the mentee that you have. Like
So that's
college.
unusual. Yeah, that's very, very unusual. It's usually the typical situation is you are matched with an incoming freshman, and then you work with that freshman for 4 years. They
Okay.
graduate. If you can, you go to their graduation, you say, good luck, bye, have fun storming the castle, and then off they go. I have kept in touch with a few of my mentees, not all of them, but a few of them. But that's very unusual. It's not a lifetime commitment. It's just 4 years. And then
Okay.
in some cases, you could end up with an older student if, but that's more unusual. I
Okay.
tend to pick up those loose ends more than other people.
No, we don't expect, the expectation and the hope is that the mentor will stay with the student through the 4 years of high school, because that way you develop a relationship, and a freshman, and you and your student grow over those 4 years. I'm now in touch with one of my mentees who sends me pictures of her baby. So, and the other one, went off to college at Temple, and I've heard from her once, but basically she didn't want to continue the relationship. So it just depends on the student, really, and you, whether you want to. I'm very happy to maintain it and just see how all of my mentees are doing. I only have 2 who've graduated. I have another one coming up graduating this year.
Time commitment wise, Bruce, since you raised that, you're never supposed to, when you're asking somebody to volunteer to do something, I heard it's a big mistake. You are never supposed to tell them that it's not a big time commitment. But in this case, it actually is not a big time commitment. And so there's a lot of flexibility in the time that you commit, but it's just not huge because the kids are in school. They're busy.
Yeah.
Like they don't want you running amok in their lives. So they just want to know that you're there, and if they have something. Yeah, I mean, my friend Diane, who started mentoring together with me, she, with a later student that she had, like that girl never talked to her, I shouldn't say she never talked to her. She didn't talk to her a lot. There wasn't a lot of communication. Then all of a sudden something came up in her life and she reached out to Diane and she needed her. She really, really needed her. And, so they had a good relationship over the 4 years, but they're busy.
Right. I think I have a good feel for it.
Okay.
What about the sponsorship part of it? Is that something you are going to talk about?
Maggie, do you want to address that?
We have not hybrids, but this time we have our own spa vocabulary, I call it. So we have, originally this organization was started where partners would sponsor and mentor students. So that was where the Student Partner Alliance. So a partner would pay for the scholarship and mentor a student. But as we grew, we got some corporate sponsors and foundation sponsors, and then individual sponsors. And so then we started looking for people who just mentored. So clearly we're always happy for financial support. We can't offer the scholarships, which are so necessary, and ours are a healthy size scholarship without the support of a lot of individuals, a lot of foundations, corporations. As I say repeatedly, it takes a village. And we really are very diverse in our funders. We have over 120 mentors as well. And that's why we went into this horrible challenge that we're going through, strong financially, and have been able to increase our scholarships at the same time when so many of our families needed additional aid so that their students could stay in the school. Because to me, it's heartbreaking if a student had to make that change on top of all the other changes that are going on right now. And these schools have really been great at stepping up, and teachers have been amazing in their dedication and learning how to, teach effectively on Zoom.
I think, Bruce, that when it's possible to be both the mentor and the sponsor, to be a partner, I think that adds to the relationship with a student because they know that you are really committed to them, emotionally as a mentor and then financially in investing with them. And so I think that's a big boost to a high school student to know that somebody has chosen to do that for them. It's really meaningful. So, it's great either way, but I think if a person's able to do both, I think it's really nice. We've enjoyed it tremendously. So, I didn't have anything else specific to talk about. Maggie, did you want to show?
If I can share the screen for a moment, I'd like to show you something about mentoring. So let me just give this a try. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I think the research is interesting, and it shows that a student who has a mentor is less likely to skip a day of class, get into drugs, more likely to end up in leadership positions, go on to college. So the research does show that a mentor is helpful. And this says a little bit of what we expect. A mentor is like a coach, a role model, and somebody who provides other ideas, as Shemaine was saying, something outside, new ideas from a person outside your immediate environment, I think are always helpful. In terms of why mentor, well, as Anne said, well, it's fun. You can, when it works, provide a positive impact on the student's life, open up new opportunities. You personally can make a new friend, and there's a long-term impact. The other part I talked about. So if you're interested, what happens next? Well, we have an application that's on our website. Then I speak with all interested new mentors. We do a background check, and then we provide training. Then there's the matching, and then we provide events at this point, virtual events, where you can meet your mentee and then interact with the mentee to get the relationship going. And then once both feel comfortable, you can take it outside of one of our events. So that's the process. And
I don't think you're going to pass that background check, Bruce.
here are some happy people all together. That's an Immaculate Conception in Montclair. And here is one of our mentors and mentees at Hudson Catholic. I guess those, and she was at Benedictine Academy. So, do you have any other questions on that, Bruce?
No,
Or
I think
anything else?
so. If I'm interested in pursuing it, so I just send you an email at that address, mmomber@studentpartneralliance.org.
Yes, that would be great. And then we can continue the conversation.
Okay.
Fabulous.
Yeah, sounds like a very interesting thing to do. I'm very
Wonderful.
interested.
Wonderful.
I'm
That's
so
awesome,
excited
Bruce.
that you want to do this, Bruce, and Ian too.
Yeah, I am all ready to go. I just got to get through my term as president here. I've got
Yep.
less than 80 days, but who's counting?
I know how you feel. I think I shared with you that I was recently board chair at Cornerstone Family Programs, and they asked me to stay for another like 7 months because of COVID. And I was like you, I was counting the days. Everything in my life was measured pre and post January 26th, which was my last board meeting. And I loved it. I absolutely loved doing it, but it's demanding.
Yeah.
So,
And I just
yeah.
want to look, there's a lot to still do. So that's why, Margaret, once my term is over June 30th, put down in your little calendar,
Oh, don't worry, I have a
email
file.
Ian July 1st.
I have a file for September. Well, there's nothing that will happen July and August, but come September, definitely.
That's when we'll get it going.
Shall I
Yep.
take, I can remove this, stop sharing, and then I think we can see some people larger. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah,
Well-
so Shay, from your perspective, what was the amount of time you actually did look to speak with Anne? Was it weekly? Did you guys start off less and then you just connect? I mean, how did that go for you?
I would say, well, back in the day, they used to have breakfasts, and I think it was like once a month. I think that's how it started. So that once a month kind of then became like every 3 weeks. It became regular in the school. St. Vincent's, the sisters, they were very keen on if there was a holiday happening, you were sending a card. You were sending a thank you card. So there was definitely communication on back and forth of like, okay, that you're in my life. We're not necessarily talking every day, but you're present, and I'm grateful for. And I'd hear from Ann just, hey, checking in. So I think it kind of started, I would say, kind of spread out, but then it gradually got closer. And but there was times where it was far out, but then when we needed to talk regularly, it became regularly. So I think there's this natural timeline that you kind of flow into. I think the schools help give a good skeleton and perimeter of already set up things. But I think it really is based on the relationship. And I think students will let you know. Once a student or anybody has figured out that you are someone who's committed to being in their lives, that you're not just going to leave. I can take the time to open up to you and let you in. Then I'll make you more regular. But I think once you get through that kind of, I would say 90-day period loosely, and it's consistent, I think it just you'll naturally fall into a groove.
Thank you. Yeah. Can't be forced. It's got to be real.
That's right.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's true. Absolutely.
Well, there weren't
yeah.
a lot of people here, but you got yourself 2 mentors. So, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, I would love to, now that if Bruce does it also, it's one of those things where I don't know how to get it through, maybe to the brotherhood, things like that. So what I am so on July 1st, I'm also then becoming Sinai's social action chair. So there will be more of this to come over time also. And really one of the reasons why I wanted to do it, I've been very involved with like I said, education. College, I set up a little tutoring program between my fraternity and sister sorority and elementary kids students in Washington, D.C. I've taught people how to read. So I get it and I care deeply for this. It's just going to take me a little time, Margaret, right? Once
Take your time. Yeah.
to
Have a summer vacation.
Well, yes, but no doubt. But the point is that I want to lead from the front with this and learning about the program and really then socializing it, because I think that once more people understand, to Bruce's questions, what is it really? Because you could start with just mentoring and then also, and to your point, I care enough, I've been doing this long enough, I'm also going to support a student financially to some degree or another. That's just exposing this more and more. I think that this program aligns very, very nicely with our core values as a religious faith, but also as a community at Sinai. And I think it's a matter of just more and more exposure, intentional exposure. And I'm very grateful for your leadership, for your compassion and commitment. This is a tremendous program, and I know I'm going to be proud to be part of it and look forward to looking back, having helped 3 or 4 kids myself along the way. And so Audrey, thank you for the concept of Hineni. You know, even one or two makes a difference. I know that this is not what we wanted, but it starts somewhere. Shay, good for you. You are special. There is something about you that I can see why Anne speaks glowingly of you. Continue to make her and all of us proud because um, you're the future. And it looks pretty bright from where I sit. And Margaret, thank you also for all the work that you do. This is just a tremendous program. And again, as I said, I feel very privileged to be working with you guys, or when I do start. So, Bruce, let's do it, brother. Right?
I also
Well,
want to thank Michal. We have to thank Michal. She's our technical operator here.
Thanks, Michal.
Thanks,
Thanks, Audrey.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, Michal. Of course, I
No, it's okay.
apologize.
How dare you? That's it.
Yes,
And
I.
Ian and Bruce,
I'm
it's really fun. Like I started off mentoring with a friend, and I brought other friends in, and we go to events together. It's really fun to have a buddy mentor because then you have somebody to talk to about what about
Yeah.
how to be a mentor and your students, and somebody to bounce ideas off of. It's really fun to do it with somebody. So if you want to bring a friend in, that'd be great.
Bruce would be like a double mentor. He's everybody's mentor at Sinai.
He's
So
everybody's
it's.
I need a
I
mentor.
have trouble mentoring myself.
I would give you, Ian and Bruce, a student at St. Benedict's, so that you would be together once you're able to be back in person. And
Great.
Bruce, once you send me your email, I'm going to send you both an article that St. Benedict's just did on some of our mentors. So it gives you a little flavor, again, more flavor for mentoring and some different mentor-mentee relationships that have been very long lasting. And also a bit about the school too. It's a fabulous school. And they have a relationship with the Kushner Academy.
Uh-huh.
My mentee is actually doing something with the Kushner Academy where both are experiencing each other for the first time. So it's I'm not sure exactly what they do, but I think it's a fascinating initiative.
That's where my daughter goes.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Got it. Maggie, can you also send them that a link to the video? Is that still available? The 60 minutes video?
60. Oh, I don't know about that. I don't have a link to that. I have a link to the other St. Benedict's thank you that they sent us, but I won't put you through that.
If you just Google 60 minutes, the TV show 60 Minutes and St. Benedict Prep.
Okay.
They did a wonderful story on the school and how they kind of build their culture and brotherhood and just meeting what's his name? The guy
Father
that
Ed?
runs Brother Ed. Father Ed. He's such a fascinating person. So you'll really enjoy meeting him. He's inspirational, as are the sisters at St. Vincent's Academy too.
My brother went to St. Benedict's and I have friends who went there. So it's definitely, they're down the street from each other.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it looks like you can still get it. I think it's on their website.
Yeah, I just found it. I put it in the chat.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Google that, like you said, and it's right there.
It's a little old, but the school actually, the most dramatic thing that's happened there, apart from, COVID, is that they've accepted girls, and they have a girls division now, and that's brand new. So they just keep, Father Ed is just amazing, an incredible educator, an incredible fundraiser, and the school is well resourced and has all kinds of great programs available for the kids, including a very, very strong counseling program.
That's great.
Jermaine, are you going to be a mentor when you have the time?
Yeah, I think it would be an injustice not to be. But I know I'm still in Connecticut right now, and I feel like I'll be here for some years, but I go back and forth a lot. So I think I've tried to leave like twice, and God has stopped it twice by presenting me with something that was like, okay, well, girl, I really need you to stay. But Of course, without a doubt. I hope to be a part of St. Vincent's board somehow. Like, I don't think I could be the principal, given like I do community impact and programming for the festival. So I'm a programmer. So it's like I don't, well, how can I run the school? But I can help raise money. My background is in development. I was a banker for some time, and then I did development at the New Haven Symphony Orchestra.
I don't think there's anything you can't do.
But Ian, I
That's
know we're
just my
coming.
sense.
Thank you. But I know we're coming to the end, and I don't want to keep folks, but you mentioned something about library and education resources. So I also, in addition to what I do, I'm a coordinator on the Elm City Literature Book Festival here in New Haven. It's New Haven's first festival that highlights books and all writings under the African diaspora. And we have a podcast, and we're preparing for our upcoming festival. So can you tell me a little more about what you do?
Yeah, so right now I'm running a company that aggregates digital content only, comics and graphic novels. And there is one particular author set that we just aired, and they're called the Tuskegee Airs. And I don't know if you've heard of the Tuskegee Airmen, but these guys, I'm not going to tell their story, but the bottom line is we just had them on a webcast that we conducted with the New York City Department of Education. We have a grant program there, and it's just providing content that attracts young students to read. It doesn't have to be highbrow, Shakespearean type of writing. It just, we want to engage and excite all kind of readers, but particularly younger readers into just reading more. The more you read, the better you get at it. And the better you get at it, then the more confident you are, and reading is fundamental. So that's what it is. You can get my email if you want. Here, I'll just throw it in the chat. I'm happy to see if we can help out in any way. We also do, well, you can check out the website as well to get a sense, because we curate a lot of content for diversity. So there's our librarian on staff curates for LGBTQ stuff, and it's a very diverse corpus. We have about 20-some thousand titles. So you take a look at it, and if I can be of service, I am happy to do that.
I definitely will reach out, because we do a children's segment for each festival. And we also had a conversation about graphic novels with it escapes me who we had, like their names, but I will definitely reach out.
Yeah, please. I mean, we also just supported the State Department and provided access to our database to about 86 different countries. And the gentleman, and his name is completely, but he's Turkish, and he co-wrote with Congressman Lewis March, the March trilogy. So, that's civil rights 101 right there, at least in the modern era. So happy to help if we can, Shay.
Nothing is by coincidence. So I just
Oh,
want to thank
lovely
you
to
all
see
for
these
inviting
That's
me.
exactly right. And good
Yeah,
for you for asking.
Yeah.
Thank you for making the time and for teaching us and hearing your story. And I look forward to hearing good things. And now it's on you, Bruce and Ian. So you're up.
Yes,
now.
yes. Well, there'll be more coming from me. You know that, Audrey.
I do, like every day. I know.
This will be in July, but
Okay.
yeah.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much for the invitation.
Thank you. Take good
Thank
care.
you
Have a
so
good
Good to
much.
see everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Recording.
Bye.
I'll send everyone the recording tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye.